Happy Monday. We are continuing our study of parables, and we remain in not just the Gospel of Luke, but in Luke chapter 14. But we are transitioning to a different parable. So Luke 13 ends with Jesus lamenting over Jerusalem. Then we see him healing a man on the Sabbath, which was a setup. Then moved into some teaching about humility and pride. That was last week. We are going to be moving through this parable, and then we're going to get some Jesus talking about counting the cost of following him. And all of that will then lead into three more parables, the lost parables, lost coin, lost sheep, lost coin, and then the most famous, the lost son, the prodigal son. This week's theme is the great banquet. So in the first weeks after my stroke, my throat was paralyzed. I could not, I couldn't swallow, couldn't drink anything, couldn't eat anything. And one of my fears was that I would never be able to eat again. Now, they can keep you supplemented with nutrition, but that's not what eating is about. I was quite upset about the possibility of not ever sitting down to a meal with family and friends. And I remember asking Sherry several times, why didn't I appreciate just going out to dinner with friends and family? Why did I not understand what a great privilege that actually is? I didn't value it until I thought it might be over. Well, it turns out that eating with friends, it turns out that a banquet is actually one of the metaphors for heaven. Food and feasts and friends, and a big banquet comes up a lot in the Bible, over 1,000 times, leading Sherry at one point to suggest that perhaps God is a foodie. I think we could all agree that whoever's in charge of marketing for heaven probably needs to be replaced. We hardly hear about it anymore, and everything we hear about tends to make us think it's going to be boring. But in fact, what we find in Scripture is that it's a place where even the most mundane things like streets are made with gold and precious jewels and all of that. There's no danger, no darkness, no sorrow. There's great joy, lots of music, and lots of food. So we're going to be thinking about food this week as we think about this parable, the great banquet. So in it, we're going to watch Jesus disrupt a meal. So it will be memorable. This is one of those meals that's memorable, not necessarily because of the food, but because of what happened during it. The party, again, is staged to catch Jesus violating the Sabbath, healing somebody, violating, Jewish protocol. And Jesus will oblige the trap because he helps people. That's what he does. And also because he wants to expose the bad thinking of the Pharisees. And then he'll make it even more disruptive because he's going to, turn around and start criticizing the people that have been invited. And he's going to ask, where's the single mom? And where's the boy in the wheelchair? And where are the poor people? Remarkably, he did that before. He's not done. Jesus is going to be disruptive and say things you're not supposed to say in polite company. Jesus does that a lot. So tomorrow I'm going to start reading this parable. We'll start walking through it. Today, let me encourage you to think about some of the best meals that you've had and to appreciate God's blessings in that and to appreciate those times and also to see that actually as a foretaste of heaven and to begin, as we've been called to do, to set our mind on things above where Christ is seated at the right hand of God the Father. Have a good day.